These problems that we're starting with only have 3 variables, so some of you may be able to look at these and more or less do it in your head and then end up with punching out an answer in your calculator and writing that down. That's what I want to make sure that you avoid doing right now, because even if these problems are fairly straightforward, they only have 3 variables and you only have 1 equation, it's really important that we start out with good habits for how to solve problems, because those good habits are going to prevent you from making mistakes. When you do make mistakes, it will help you be able to figure out and fix your mistake quicker. And once we start getting to more complicated equations or situations where you don't know which equation to choose and you have several that could be an option, these habits will serve you well to make sure that those things stay as easy as these ones, or at least not get significantly more difficult. So as you're reading through a problem, you want to start looking through what information is given in the problem. So we're going to look at number 4 on this sheet. It says a rabbit dashes 9 meters across the yard in 1.6 seconds. How fast was it running? So we want to read through this and look and see what information does it give us. So it says a rabbit dashed 9 meters. I'm going to go ahead and circle right in the problem here. A rabbit dashed 9 meters. Okay, 9 meters, that's a distance. So I'm going to mark it with a little d. So first piece of information given in the problem, a rabbit dashed 9 meters across the yard in 1.6 seconds. 1.6 seconds, that's a time. So I'm going to mark that. And then it asks how fast was it running. How fast? Well, that means speed. They're asking for speed. So now that I've read through the problem, identified and circled what is in the problem, now I'm going to list that where it says given. So the given information is 9 meters, that's a distance. So distance equals 9 meters. Across the yard in 1.6 seconds, that's the time. Time is 1.6 seconds. How fast was it running? It's asking for speed. I always include in there which variable I'm solving for, because when we get to a situation where you have multiple equations that you need to choose from, knowing what you're solving for is going to help you choose that. Next, we need to write down what equation we're using, and it needs to be already set up to solve for what we want to solve for. So we're trying to solve for speed. So if we look at speed and we want to figure out, well, speed equals what equation are we using? We look at that speed triangle. We're solving for speed, and we look at what we have. Well, we have distance and time. It's going to be distance over time, distance divided by time. So speed equals distance over time. Now we have the givens, we have the equation, so now we can plug and chug. So speed equals distance, we're going to plug in our givens, is 9 meters over time, 1.6 seconds. Then you can do the math on the numbers, and 9 divided by 1.6 is 5.6. Our units are going to be meters per second, meters per second. Now when we're doing equations and practice problems together in class, it's really important that you are following along, including plugging the numbers into your calculator. There's a couple reasons for this. One is that you should not assume that I am infallible. I will make mistakes, and I need you to be checking that. And so if you get something different, you can raise your hand and say, hey, whoa, wait a minute, that's not what I got. And then we can figure out, well, what's going on? Did I make a mistake? The other reason is that you need to be practicing plugging these things into your calculator. If you know how to set everything up, but then you plug into your calculator 1.6 over 9 instead of 9 divided by 1.6, well, then you're going to get the wrong answer. So you do need to also know how to set up the problem and actually plug it into your calculator and get the right answer. All right, let's look at number 5. How far can a sailfish swim in 1900 seconds at 30 meters per second? So reading the question, I'm going to look for what information is in here. First it says how far. How far, that's asking for a distance. So how far is a distance? How far can a sailfish swim in 1900 seconds? That's a time. At 30 meters per second, that's a speed. So now I'm going to list what givens I have. So the time is 1900 seconds. The speed is 30 meters per second. And distance is what we're solving for. So I need to write an equation that solves for distance. I'm going to check out my speed triangle again. I'm solving for distance, which means I have speed and time. So distance is going to equal speed times time. Distance equals speed times time. Now I have my givens listed. I have the equation. Now I can plug those givens into the equation. So distance equals Speed is 30 meters per second, times time is 1900 seconds. Then you can do your math on the numbers, which I get 57,000. Our units are going to be, seconds cancels out, so our units are going to be in meters, which makes sense because we're solving for distance. Now my answer is 57,000 meters, which is great. That's right. I can leave it at that. Or I can say, wow, that's kind of a lot of meters. Wouldn't it make more sense to turn it into kilometers? So if I'm going to do 57,000 meters and I want to turn it into kilometers, I'm looking at my conversion chart and I need to go from base unit to kilo. So I'm going to take my decimal point, which is right there, and move it 1, 2, 3 to the left. So then I would have 57.000 kilometers. And both of those answers are correct because 57,000 meters is equal to 57 kilometers.